Welcome to the podcast. Today we have with us Mr. Pranjal. So Pranjal is a director of product engineering with Adobe. He has had years of experience in product design on Adobe software. Pranjal, please introduce yourself and let us know what do we talk about today.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Pranjal. I've spent more than 25 years building products that touch millions of lives every day. Some of them have even outlived the gadgets that were used to originally build those products. And my professional journey has taken me through different organizations like startups and mid-level organizations and to companies like Adobe, where I have sometimes built version 1.0 of products and even continued to build products that have been going on for decades. Outside of work, you can find me climbing mountains, hiking, going out on the gym. So whether it's scaling a product or scaling the peaks,
Wow.
anything that
Okay.
keeps me moving
That's
is
interesting.
what I want to do.
Scaling the products and scaling the peaks. I like that. Okay, good. So yeah, what are you going to talk about today? So I'll leave the topic to you. But I
Let's
would
leave the
definitely
mountains aside. Let's talk
yes,
about
yes,
product development today, software
yes.
product
I would
development.
definitely do that. That's an interesting topic, and our listeners and viewers would like to know about product development. We talk a lot about software development, but rarely do I hear about product development software,
Right.
right? So let's talk about that. So yeah, a little bit of introduction from your side of what
Yeah,
is.
sure. So in India, especially, software product development is not talked about so much. There, at a very high level, we can talk about there are three levels of softwares that people develop in different ways. So one is the service industry, which is so very prevalent in India, and we have got great success stories in Infosys and Wipro and TCS. The second is the IT and the infrastructure management, and third is the software product development. So if I have to take an analogy, software product development would be like building a car that will be used by millions of users or hundreds of thousands of car buyers, and they will use it.
Hmm.
A service industry would be like maybe somebody like Deepak Chabriya who's customizing that car for a specific person for a specific use. Whereas the IT industry or the infrastructure industry would be more about having a very sophisticated garage where you are knowing the ins and outs of how that car works and modifying it and repairing it, making sure it's a well-oiled machinery.
Okay, so what are the critical areas that makes it very unique, the product software development?
Yeah, so while all of these three verticals which I talked about have their own nuances, the service industry, the infrastructure industry, the software product development is very different. What makes software product development unique is that you are building for many, not for one, unlike the IT or the services industry. So you do not have to deliver to a single client. You have to take care of millions of users. So they could be students, they could be enterprises, they could be solopreneurs, they could be government, they could be across the world from, say, Japan to the Middle East to the Western world. So how do you make one product that takes care of so many different personas and so many different requirements?
So that should be challenging because you're trying to make one product for everybody, right? And everybody's requirement is different.
Yeah.
So isn't it difficult, right? How do you figure out what do you need to do?
Yeah, it's complex. Everything worth doing is tough, and that's what the fun is. uh, there are some well defined processes, but at the same time it is not purely process driven or number driven. There's a lot of gut feeling and all, but there is some kind of method in the madness also. If you look at big companies who have developed products that have lasted years, what they start with is, or what they look at is, for building a product is from different aspects and different lenses. So some of the things could be like social or community, not just what people are saying on X or Instagram and all, but there are also more formal forums like Reddit where people talk about things. Then organizations will have their own forums where people come in and say, this is what we want. There are different industry events that are organized. And then you go out and meet the customers, you talk to them and figure out what is it that they're doing. At the same time, you have to think beyond what the customer is asking and develop those requirements, even when they are not very sure of what it is.
So it is a very intuitive kind of a area that you need to build, right? When you're making a physical product, it is still relatively easy because you're having a form. You're saying, okay, this is the function of this product and will deliver it. And by and large, people you feel. But when it's a software product, then it becomes more complicated because you have to kind of figure out what people want.
Right.
Though you have some. Okay. And also, I think it's probably for you. So, I would be interested in knowing what's the process generally Adobe, or not Adobe, but any generic software product company would follow. Do they go out and do a survey? Do they build something very basic to start with and then develop over a period of time? So how is there a process that they follow, or it's very unique for every product?
It is unique, but still there are certain processes that have been established and have worked really well. So while doing user research, collecting all the data, interpreting it is very, very important. At the same time, we know the proof of the pudding lies in eating it. So, but you can't really boil the ocean and say, I know what I need to do. I'll spend 2 years, 100 engineers building it. It does not work that way. So it's an iterative process, and the way many people end up doing it is that first of all, there is the concept. That's the way it starts. That this is the concept. You try to refine it, define it. There are product managers involved, there are designers involved, researchers involved, and you come up with a concept. Moving on from the concept would be a proof of concept, where both the product managers as well as the designers and the software developers would be involved to give a very, very high level idea of, yes, this is what it looks like. Because a concept is there only on your mind. You will then try to make some kind of a very, very quick and dirty solution. You can say dirty is probably not the right one, but very quick solution, which will just show you this is what it feels like. There'll be a lot of hard coding. There'll be a lot of assumptions.
Okay.
Then from the
so proof, it's like creating in a hardware world. It's like creating a prototype.
Yes.
Okay.
Even before a prototype, it's like creating a good design so that you a form. Then from the proof of concept, a parallel path which can be done or in sequence is a feasibility study. So once you have made everybody, the execs and the decision maker, understand this is what it is, then you look at what are the most complex problems to be solved. You don't really want to go ahead with the proof of the concept and then after 6 months realize, oh, there was one tough problem that we know is not technically feasible, or there are some other challenges. So you look at those toughest things that you build a kind of a proof of concept for that, and then you say, we think it's technically feasible, so now we can go full in.
Okay.
And that is when probably a decision is taken that, yes, the concept looks nice, we have seen how it will work, and you guys have solved how to solve the toughest problem, so let's go ahead and
build that.
We get a green signal and let's go ahead and build it.
So there's a term that is also used called the minimum viable product.
Correct.
So that minimum viable product is after the POC, or POC is the minimum viable?
No, the minimum viable product concept comes after you have got the green signal.
Okay.
Even when you get a green signal, it's not a simple problem to solve. It will take multiple person months of effort. There'll be a lot of things which will still have to evolve, and maybe we'll do something, then we'll get some feedback. Based on that, we may have to take different paths. So you think of a minimum viable product. The term itself is clear, but here also you can take two approaches. One is a breadth first approach, and second is a depth first approach. It will depend on what you are trying to do.
Breadth first, which means you do too many things.
Breadth first will mean that there is a feature or there is something that you want to build which has multiple components.
Okay.
So you do not build everything completely, but you build the workflow from left to right or end to end.
Okay.
And then it's like you build the skeleton and then you keep on adding meat and flesh onto it.
Okay.
So you say, okay, this is the basic functionality. This is how it will start and end. Some finer cases or the corner cases are not covered. You give out one version, then you seek feedback, and then you keep on adding more meat to it. Whereas in the depth first version, what you do is you look at one core problem, sub problem, and you solve it properly.
And complete deepest to the
Deepest
deepest
one,
level.
and
Yeah.
then you move on to the next core problem. So they may be related, those problems, but it's not that there's a workflow from left to right to or so on, so that till everything is done, the customer's problem will get fully solved.
So is any examples where you can give both these kind of things?
Yeah, sure. So some of the examples could be like, if I am building a solution which I know is meant for the world, I may start only with the English language. Okay. Because it's very easy to support that. It does not have the nuances of multi-byte characters, and also you'll start with English, and then maybe you will go on to the other markets, say Japanese market, and then say the Middle East market, where the text goes from right to left, the numbers go from left to right, all those complications are there. You can also say that if I'm building, say, a depth first product, I can say I will build only for the web to begin with, and I will build a mobile app separately, or vice versa.
Okay.
It could be anything. But if there is a workflow which is taking you from mobile to the web and vice versa, then you will do a breadth first solution.
Okay. Very interesting. Never heard about this. So good. That's a good one. So fine. I think you've well defined what software looks like and what a product software development looks like. Anything else that you want to add to it?
Yeah. There are a lot of other aspects to software development, and what we call them is a functional requirement versus a non-functional requirement. A functional requirement is very clear that this is what it is supposed to do. If there is an app that you open on a mobile phone, you know what it is supposed to do. Is it supposed to help you book an airlines ticket? Is it supposed to tell you what groceries are available and get them? That is the functional requirement. You know that very well, and it's relatively easy to define them. But the other is the non-functional requirements, which are equally important.
Okay.
How much time does it take for the app to launch?
Right. That's yes. Yeah.
How much time does it take you to add one item to the cart? Or if you have selected 10 items and then to the cart. How stable is your app? If you keep your app open, there are certain apps like they are on your system, you don't even realize, like the browsers, right? They're open for days and months and weeks, you don't even realize, right?
Yeah.
So the stability of the product, the performance of the product, the scalability of the product. A few years back, we did not even have the concept of tabs in a browser, right? Now, you don't even know how many tabs are open. Every tab is a different door to a different world.
Yes.
All those doors are open all the time. How do you ensure everything is working seamlessly? Okay. So those are all the non-functional requirements. So you have to take care of all of them also.
I think even the user interface and the user experience comes as part of the non-functional, right? Or you call it a separate?
Yeah, user experience is a bit different because it is very much in your face. It is very, very important.
Yeah.
The moment somebody clicks on an icon or the app button, the user interface comes into play.
Yeah.
For example, because of the technical complications, the app launch time could be very long, and the user will not be a regular user who has to buy a grocery, but it could be a technical requirement, some professional product. But what kind of experience you give to the person as the application is launching, he or she should not feel, oh, my app is hung, let me kill it. They should be getting some updates, okay, launching this, setting up the preferences, creating your environment. That is also part of the user experience. Right? So it has to be ingrained as you are building the product. Right from the POC concept, the user experience is very, very critical to the success of a product. You can build a technically perfect product, but if the user does not know how to use it, or they think, oh, it's not intuitive, they will not use it.
So eventually your product software is catering to probably the more general mass. So it has to be a lot more intuitive than maybe a customized software. Would you say that? Or
it depends. Certain products like, as I said, an office application like Microsoft Office or Excel, they are used by lots and lots of people. Some people are really experts at Excel. They can do so much. They have built their careers. Whereas some people will just use Excel to keep track of how much money they are spending in a month just for the groceries and medicines and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's that way. Whereas a customized solution would be like, if I take an example of, say, you build an HR database solution. You create a database. So a database can be used for keeping any kind of data. But then when you build a solution specifically for human resources of a specific company, then that would be a customized solution. So Oracle's database products are products,
Right.
whereas something that we have done for a specific company is a service.
Yes. Okay. No, very good. I think that was quite enlightening. So what does it take to be a good product software developer? I think a lot of our listeners are looking at careers, trying to build, figuring out what they want to do, and this is a good avenue for them to understanding. And this is what today we are trying to understand. What does a product software do? So which we just covered. So what would be an engineer who is interested in building up a career in product software development? What should he be doing? What are the skills, experience, career path that do they have? So any highlights on those?
Yeah, sure. So some of the basics are common across service industry and software industry. That is having good computer science skills and very good problem solving and logical abilities. This is like a no-brainer. You have to have it no matter which part of the software industry you are on. If we talk specifically about software product development, because of the sheer nature of a product addressing so diverse needs, you have to have an open mind where you think not just of the problem at hand, but what could be adjacent to it. Again, not just on the left and the right, as in the breadth wise, but also vertically. I am solving a problem right now. I am scaling it up for, say, 1 million users, but do we anticipate that there would be 10 million users 6 months from now? The problem solution could be very, very different. So you really need to think beyond what the current problem is. You need to have very, very good communication skills because in general, these products are a lot complex and you need to be able to explain the technical nuances to non-technical people also. So while the technical skills are absolutely important, these non-technical skills are really what will differentiate a good engineer or a good software product developer from a great software product developer.
Okay. So if I do want to be good, I need to do a non-technical stuff more than the technical stuff, right?
Both are important. Non-technical stuff is necessary,
okay,
but it is not sufficient.
All right. So what kind of so do you if let's say there's a software development in studying in college today, so what kind of advice would you give them? Yes, they have to develop these non-technical stuff, and probably they're still doing the technical development. Is there a specific industry that they should go and do their internships, or is there specific projects that they should start already doing now? There are also a lot of entrepreneurs who are now starting to build products, right? They don't have that much of experience. So as an experienced product developer or products director, as an experienced director in product development, what advice would you give these guys, right? So what should they be doing now? I mean, they can wait for their degrees to complete, come to the industry, start finding a job.
Yeah.
But if they have to do some internships, they want to be ready for the industry. What do you see when you're hiring, let's say, a new engineer? So that would be a better question to ask, maybe.
Yeah. So as I said, the basic skills are the same, but what we really look for is the inquisitiveness in the candidate. They should always be hungry, seeking more information. That is really very important. They should be curious. They should be seeking more information and not just jumping to conclusions. And try to dig deep. As I said, these products are so complicated, and that is why they have lasted the test of the times. Right? So if you look at an operating system itself is a product on which so many other products are built. So get more into that systems thinking, that how does that system work in entirety. If I ask you a very simple thing, you use your laptop, whether it's a MacBook or it's a Windows machine, you have multiple applications like office applications, you'll have a browser, you will have your own applications, you will use say MS Office, anything. From any application, you can just do a Control P or a Command P and the print happens.
Mm.
How does it happen? There's one printer. There are hundreds of applications. How does it happen? Does everyone build that entire solution? That when, even if it's a small notepad kind of a thing where it's just plain text I'm writing, I can print it? Or it is a complicated design which I have seen, it's an image, I can print everything. I just do a command P and I know this is my printer, it will get printed. I don't care about what the printer is and which app is. So who has thought about all this? So that is the kind of questions they need to be asking. Instead of thinking, I am building an application, so I need to do a print for it. That's okay. But how do 20 others, 100 others will be able to do without having to put so much effort?
Correct. So do they, I mean, do you see them already starting to build some products even during their, does that help for them? I mean,
it should be happening. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing that. While the curriculum is changing, we are looking at newer technologies, whether it is data sciences, AI, ML, the focus still remains on small-term projects. And I understand it's very complex to build a product, but then people should be thinking now, like building a mobile application is relatively easy as compared to a product on desktop.
So between a person who's very good technically and not has any practical experience building something versus a person who's not technically super good, but he's built something. So the second person might have a advantage.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, guys, whoever's listening, if you want to really get into product, start building some stuff, right? Okay. So I think any conversation that we do has to talk about Gen AI and AI and ML and data analytics. So let's talk about how's it impacting the software developers on a general and then also on the product software development.
So it's the developers who have brought in this revolution, and they are absolutely at the center of it. It has really changed the way product development happens, and it's changed in both the ways. One is what we are building as well as how we are building. So the software developers thankfully believe in eating their own dog food. So as they are building new solutions, Gen AI based, data analytics based, they are using it for their own convenience to make their job easy. So things like Copilot and Cursor, they are now enabling you to generate code much, much faster. So while earlier we had to write everything from scratch, thinking of our own, we can give a prompt and say, this is the kind of code I want to generate, and that code will get generated. Of course, it will get better. It is not perfect. There will be bugs, but it is really easing your development time, reducing your development time. The testing process has also changed. Earlier, there was manual testing, then it became automated. Now, again, it is becoming ML driven. You are able to look at the source code and say, oh, these are the things that I have to test. We generate the test cases, they are run, and the reports are filed. It is again not 100%, but it's getting there. The user experience is changing. That is the third aspect. Like, what was the user experience earlier? If we are building an app, we will think, oh, I have to click here, I have to tap here. And a good user experience would be that you provide the most obvious clicks or the taps easier for the user to identify. And the minimum number of clicks there are, the faster the workflow will start and more the retention of the customer would be. But now when we are talking about Gen AI, we are not even looking at clicks. We are talking about prompts. So we just give you a prompt, you write something and it will get generated. You want a story to be written, you want an entire research to be done. But now things are changing so fast that people are saying, why do I even want to ask them for a prompt? Prompt itself, I have to think, what do I type? I have to write 20 words, 50 words, I'm not even sure. So now it's moving towards more intuitive. You figure out what does the customer want. If a customer opens up a document, which is a 100-page document, you say, oh, do you want me to summarize it? Do you want me to tell you the key sections of this document? And based on how you're using those documents in and out, it will customize those suggestions. And hence the user experience will also be customized.
Okay.
So everything is changing.
So do you, so when you said that the code creation is becoming more simpler now, is there a percentage reduction do you see in development time because of that? I mean, rough range you cannot.
Yeah, it depends. Things like prototyping have become very, very fast. So if you want to give that concept, or this is the way my app will look and this is how the flow will happen, you can do that probably without actually writing a single line of code in half an hour, which would have taken probably 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Whereas in some cases where your core code is very, very restricted, it has not been seen by other people or developed on top of the tech, it has not been developed on top by other people, then it will be tough for the code to be generated. So it may not give you much improvement, but sometimes, as I said, that
Very
3 weeks of work done in 30 minutes.
Okay, that's very good. So moving on. So I think this we talked about that. India, there is a lot more of service software and infrastructure, maybe more.
Yeah.
So why is it that we have that? What kind of challenges do we have in industry here that we are not? And I think it's what I see now with a lot more of startups happening in India. It's becoming a country where a lot more startups are developing products now. They are trying to solve out problems. So eventually, this field is going to come in front.
Right.
So what are the challenges do you see where we have not as a country taken it up? It's probably easy to do I don't know. Is it easy to do a service software, or this one becomes a more complicated? So what challenges do you see about taking this up?
What I believe is that India's challenge is not talent.
Yeah.
We have world-class engineers who can build the best software. You see them going out and working on any product that we have heard of. The challenge, I think, is mindset, ecosystem, and the orientation.
Okay.
Services have made us great at execution. That is what we are doing. But product development really needs a lot more risk appetite and deep user empathy. You have to think first on a global level, not just on a very, very specific level. Okay. But the encouraging part is that the shift is really happening. If you look at some of the startups like Flipkart is not really a startup now, it has established itself. There is Freshworks, there is Zoho, there is Postman, who are actually proof that India is moving from being the world's back office to the world's product innovation hub. I think it should happen.
I think it's also maybe on top of it is also probably that the money required to build a product is much higher than a service product, right? The service you can probably get revenues pretty quickly.
Yes, so you need slightly more deeper pockets, and VC funding is definitely required. And I think the mentorship also is not happening to the level that it should be happening. If you look at the Silicon Valley culture, right, it's not just about the money that's available. The way the mentorship happens is very, very critical to the success of Silicon Valley.
That's true. So all those things I think have started to go. At least Bangalore is one city where we have seen a lot more of this culture happening.
Yeah.
And probably it's starting to go into other cities as well. But unless there's a mass revolution around it, it will continue still, right? Good. So I think it was a good discussion. Anything else that we have not covered you want to talk about, right?
I think we have covered everything. I would just like to end by saying that people or the young engineers should try to fall in love with the problem and not the solution.
Okay.
What I mean by that is when you fall in love with the problem, you try to understand the problem from left to right, from top to bottom. When you fall in love with the solution, you think of a solution and you say, oh, this is the solution, this is what I do. No, spend more time figuring out what the problem is. You take that problem, which nobody has solved, and you create then a solution which is world class. Not just get married to one solution and say, this is what I am going to do.
Probably that applies to the entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because a lot of them are solving problems. That's the basics of creating an organization. That what problem are you solving, right? So good. Thank you very much. It was a great enlightening discussion, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.